They've already burnt their goodwill, and then they've pissed off their community. There's only so much Stockholm Syndrome that somebody can take. Anyway, this is called Leaked. Bungie has no plan, and leaders will cut and run. Let's dive in.
Welcome back. Suffice to say, when I saw the title that our news team gave today's video, staff think Bungie's management are cutting and running, my interest was piqued. And I've got to—
I guarantee it's going to happen. I guarantee, because I guarantee you, just from all the information that we have about Bungie, the senior leadership has failed Bungie. They were the problem. It wasn't Activision. They've had so much turnover the way that they have, now changed the person for Marathon. It's not looking good. Bungie will most likely get taken over if they don't hit their quarterly earnings. Are we supposed to be surprised from that coming from Bungie? No, not at all. Not at all. This is kind of part of the course now for Bungie. Bungie's going to become a live service support studio. Guaranteed. 2 years from now, they're going to be a live service support studio, and they're going to be a shell of what they were before.
To imagine yours is as well. So here's what's happened. With the first of 3 live streams, Bungie have revealed their Into the Light content. That is basically what will lead Destiny 2 into the final shape, which is the final expansion in its current arc. Content-wise, things actually seem kind of good, with a long-requested gameplay mode being added to the—
I said it kind of just looks the same. Stand in circle and shoot. Yeah, it's groundbreaking.
Game, the promise of 2 more streams as well to showcase even more stuff. So that seems good, but people have been talking.
I think I'm just jaded though.
People have been talking to IGN. Sources are alleging that rumbly things are going on, that staff do not feel sure about what is next, and the implication is that management are about to cut and run as soon as they are able.
So I think the other issue they have too is Marathon, right? They're building a game that is an extraction shooter. They've never built one, and extraction shooters are very hard. There's a very specific secret sauce to them because everyone saw how well Tarkov did, and everyone is trying to copy that success, but they don't understand what made Tarkov good. They just saw the numbers. And I think honestly that's what Destiny's doing, because I'm honestly happy that they got rid of the person in charge of Marathon, because that person was in charge of Destiny 2 PvP, which was the worst experience that I've ever had in PvP of any game. I would rather go play any old MMO PvP ever touch Destiny 2 PvP. It's such a show, which is sad because my wife and me love Destiny. I mean, I think most people love Destiny 2, but also hate it because of what they've done to it. But it's crazy because the shooting feels so good in Destiny that they almost just have a win there. And I'm happy they just hopefully have somebody that can push that product to fruition and not be a hot, unbalanced piece of trash. But anyway, let's see what the rumblings are at Bungie after the rant of anger about Destiny 2.
So Bungie are doing these 3 live streams to showcase what Into the Light is going to be. This is the stuff leading us into the final shape, which is scheduled for June. And so far, to be honest, what they've shown on the game side is kind of cool. There's a mode called Onslaught, which basically is a wave-based PvE mode. And certainly when I think about, Firefight in Halo, that thing Bungie used to do, it does kind of make sense. Now, what happens here is fire teams defend a single point on a Crucible map with a tower defense style option for placing defenses and things across the area, which, to be honest, I actually think sounds pretty damn cool. It's got multiple difficulties from a 10 wave mode to a 50 wave mode with rotating defense points.
Yeah,
and
really
seemingly there's quite a lot of design being put into this. Players are being asked to do mini objectives across
I just don't care.
In the middle of matches and things like that. There are mini boss encounters and other things going on. So it doesn't look like it's some sort of half-assed effort.
What do you mean this doesn't look half-assed? You've done this a million times in Destiny. This is the PvP map.
That's all well.
This is literally the PvP. What do you mean this? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Effort my ass.
Good, but what do you get from it, other than fun and playing a video game? Well, we don't know. The rewards are going to be properly detailed in next week's stream. It is weapons though, but then the 3rd stream will talk about the other content that will be in this event. Now, this is all running from April 9th through to the final shape, and we don't actually know if this mode is going to be sticking around after the event. So overall, it does seem pretty decent. It's essentially another thing to do to tide us over until that expansion comes out. I mean, more gameplay stuff is never really a bad thing, even though this, yes, is definitely filling out some space, where the final shape, obviously.
No, I think that feels like a last-minute thing that they added because of how long the season has to be. That was literally the PvP map, reskinned, same we've played a million times before. Yeah, I think he's trying to put a good spin on a poop sandwich.
Should have been out. It should have been out already because it was initially scheduled for February. As for the final shape, it's looming rather large, and really for Destiny, it does seem like a do or die moment. I mean, we've all heard the previous reporting
it is a do or die
that
moment.
they are 45% below what their revenue estimates were.
That's because they were estimating for COVID is insane. Just basically they're trying to distract players by saying, hey, look, a flying pink buffalo. Yeah, it's like, hey, look, shinies, look. It's a new weapon. It's probably going to be a reskin of an old weapon that they vaulted, just like they've done a million times before. They're not going to make a new model for a new weapon right now. No, they're not. No way.
That's kind of an old number, but I mean, it's not like the news has got any better for Destiny 2, so yeah, I would be kind of worried. Anyway, we know the whole point of final...
Every company was estimated for COVID. That a company I worked for did it and had to lay off people because we didn't make numbers last year. Yeah. I mean, it just seems foolish to think that you would still hit those numbers. It's just like sniffing the fucking hopium, like hardcore. It blows my mind.
Final shape is that we'll start a new cadence of releases for the game. Bungie say they're going to be kind of breaking out of their shackles, right? A new format that'll be more sustainable and all of these good things. But what about the management? Because really, as much as all these game details are interesting,
the management's the issue, and we've seen that through all the reporting and people that got let go and all the things that have spilled out from Bungie since the people were let go, of just like how problematic the management has been.
I think people are more existentially worried about what's going on. To move on to what's next, it's supposed to be Marathon, basically resurrecting a old FPS for the Apple Macintosh. Marathon's actually really cool, and I'd recommend that you check out the Mandalore gaming videos on Marathon. Just going through the lore and stuff like that, it's really interesting. Now, the original Marathon is actually on Steam. Yeah, it's been dropped on Steam, so you can actually play that if you want. If it feels a bit impenetrable, again, I would recommend you check out the Mandalore video. I mean, even just for like a little bit of interesting.
I didn't even know it was I didn't even know it was a game before. I thought it was like just like a new IP.
It's a good way to pass some time. Anyway, this is going to be a very different take on Marathon because it's going to be a player-driven extraction shooter, and that's what Bungie are spending a lot of time on with a big old dedicated team. Now, the threat of reporting from IGN appears to have actually forced Bungie's leadership to admit recently that things are changing up on that development team. So here's what's happened. The now ex-Valorant game director, Joe Ziegler, has announced himself as having been in that role for 9 months. Now, he replaced a very long-time Bungie vet called Christopher Barrett, who now seems to be the executive creative director at Bungie. So
Christopher Barrett failed upwards, is what I'm hearing. He just failed upwards. Okay, all right. People that just make, like, honestly are the main issues or the main problems are the ones that somehow still survive like cockroaches.
It's all fairly interesting. I suppose he was just secretly there for 9 months. And honestly, here things got a little bit strange. So it actually seems that what happened is that IGN reached out, right? As you're going to do if you're doing a report, you reach out for comment. It seems that them doing that actually prompted this to happen. You know, the fun update for the last 9 months, I've been working on Marathon. And that is actually kind of interesting because Paul Tassi then pointed out, and I'll just read his tweet. One thing that makes the timeline bizarre here is if Ziegler is saying he had been Marathon game director for 9 months, Barrett would have left quite literally weeks after the reveal where he was heavily featured to debut the game, which really is some mighty bizarre timing.
That is very
good
odd.
Insight from Paul. Obviously, he does follow Destiny pretty closely. Now, to go back to IGN, they also heard that things have been a bit strange with Marathon, and I'll just do a quote from them. While this is going on, sources tell IGN that Bungie is pouring resources into getting Marathon out the door. The game's direction has shifted somewhat under Ziegler's new leadership, one source says, moving away from custom player characters in favor of a selectable cast of heroes. Yeah,
he's making Valorant. Okay. Yeah, he's making Valorant chat. I know why he's doing it, by the way. He's doing it so he can monetize more. It all goes back to exactly what we were just talking about. Because then now, instead of a customizable character, right? You have a paper doll, and then you release a skin for it, and then everyone can have it. Well, no, now we have a skin for each individual character, and you have to sell them individually or as a bundle. So now, instead of like the same outfit being on male and female, now you have one outfit that's on, say, let's say 10. Let's say a nice round number. Now you have 10 outfits, and then you can sell every one of those. But as long as the gameplay loop doesn't change and it is solid, people aren't going to give a shit. They just want fun.
Yes, this seemingly is going to be a hero-based selection for an extraction shooter. I mean, there you go. We're just mixing all the modern things together. Lovely. But of course, this is
it's just such cynicism there. Just lovely. Awesome.
Happening in a genre like the extraction shooter that's often quite heavily dependent on the ongoing customization of your character via loot. That does make this really quite strange, but I suppose for the sake of Bungie, maybe they're going to want to try to make, you know, these characters be heroes so they can perhaps sell things like cosmetics.
Yep.
Dare I say, skins for the hero.
I don't think that whatever you equip will most likely, I mean, there is rigging systems out there that can handle conforming one asset to multiple body types. Like Fortnite has an example of that, right? For the most part. Even Fortnite has, you know, some issues with that. That's why Peter Griffin is buff when he's not like his normal size. Yeah, that's weird. It's almost, they're making more work for themselves if you can actually see the equipped items, because then you have to deform the asset to every single body type so it fits correctly. It's weird. Yeah. They have to just have some metric saying that they're going to make more money based off the skin sales for a hero-based extraction shooter than a customizable character. Because a customizable character would just be like, hey, you have 2 body types, pick one. And then your 3D production would be so much easier.
In the same way, the likes of Call of Duty went from being, you know, military dudes to operators. And that was obviously a very heavy part of their microtransaction loop. Quite the situation, isn't it? Now, going back to the stuff, it's been thought that there's been other projects at development over in Bungie, but the existence of those has not actually been really clear. And this is where IGN gets interesting, because
basically Escape from Tarkov meets Valorant meets Apex. Yeah, I would say this is just, yeah, it's really just take out Valorant. It's Escape from Tarkov Apex, which isn't bad in itself when you pitch it, but there are so many freaking hurdles. Because Apex works because you can't change equipment. So unless the characters can never change equipment and the modules they equip is the only thing that changes their stats, right? Oh, it's a microchip, you know? Then that's the easiest way out. To be like, oh, I equipped a tier 3 helmet. Yeah, well, I mean, Bungie's just a special sunflower, to be honest.
They have the scoop. Project Matter is a game that was framed as a new IP from the company, and it was being developed on a long-term basis. And IGN are reporting now that Matter was killed in 2020 before the Sony acquisition, but that there was continued exploration of the project in sort of different styles until late 2022, which of course is after the acquisition. Then we've got Project Gummy Bears. This was weird because it was revealed to the public via job listings as a sort of incubation project in August 2023. That's obviously not that long ago. I'll just do a little quote here. One of our favorite incubation projects is a team-based action game inspired by several genres in a brand new science fantasy universe. It draws inspiration from fighting games, platformers, MOBAs, life sims, and frog-type games, wrapped up in a lighthearted comedic world.
You're just okay. Yeah, that one's failing. The deadass, that one's failing. It draws inspiration from fighting games, platformers, MOBAs, life sims, and frog type game, because all games are trying to be more social focused, right? Have hubs, have things that you can interact with people. You know, they want you to effectively be there to enjoy other people or to show off to other people to justify your skin purchases. That's the whole reason why there's a hub for people, frankly. Look how badass I am. Look at my title. Look at my shiny bullshit. That's the only reason for that. But that's just a lot. Okay.
So there you go. It would have been another bold entry into the frog-type game genre. I mean, hey, you got frog fractions to beat. Good luck. Anyway, it does seem that this project is, as IGN put it, currently in a holding pattern after the layoffs and the general struggles that the studio has faced. And this does leave Bungie in a pretty damn curious position, because they've got Destiny. It's on the verge of a real do-or-die massive expansion.
No, let's not even say do or die. It's gonna die. Well, let's just be honest with ourselves here. Bungie 2. Destiny 2 is going to die. And it's sad because it's the only, name another game that is a looter shooter that has an MMO-centric perspective on it. The only one that's coming out is the first Ascendant. That's the only one. That's it. There is no Borderlands MMO. There is nothing else. So that's gonna be rough, because like this is a very underserved genre. MMOs are one of the most expensive games to make, and has one of the highest fail rates.
That's got so much riding on it, especially after they've had pretty low revenue compared to what they expected. As much as there can be a lot of sort of doom watching, and you can get the popcorn out for things like this, I do want to make it very clear, and there's plenty of times in the past that I've really enjoyed Destiny 2. In fact, after Skill Up doing some coverage of stuff before Lightfall, I was really interested, because it seemed everything about Witch Queen just said, hey, they have got this worked out, it's awesome, which is why, why their most recent expansion was really quite the bummer. So this is a do or die thing. I absolutely hope that this is the expansion the Destiny players want and deserve, but with all of this chaos swirling around, a lot of the bizarre decisions, it's kind of hard to tell. Anyway,
I think it's just the management has been the mass issue for some time now, and they're not going anywhere until they get their payday. So until Destiny 2 gets real new leadership, they have very talented people over there that make amazing art. No one disputes that. The people in charge, like the creative directors over there and the C-level, the execs, have just been, under-delivering. It's literally a quote from them. They've just been under-delivering.
There's Destiny, there's the incubation projects, which do seem to be more in a holding pattern, and that means that everything falls on Marathon, like quadruply so, if Final Shape, I'm not even going to say if it doesn't do well. I'm going to say that if Final Shape is just a mediocre success, given where Destiny is now, I have to imagine that'll be a failure, because...
Oh, it will. It will. They have to have an overwhelming success to not be... Yeah, like there's no like, oh, you know what? We did well. Yeah. No, they let go of a metric ton of people. They've already burnt their goodwill, and then they've pissed off their community. There's only so much Stockholm syndrome that somebody can take.
Come on, we've been covering what Sony are like on the financial side for ages now.
Oh, and they're brutal.
You've got the likes of Insomniac Games, who are just, they're putting out straight bangers. And I know that not everybody loves all of their games, but just by the sales numbers, Insomniac have been doing serious work, and they have still been getting job cuts. Yeah. I mean, if the absolute rock stars of the group are getting job cuts, and Bungie is expensive and a bit of a shit show, man, you'd be kind of worried. And that is something that seems to be happening with staff. As IGN sources suggest, even if they do manage to do well, there is seemingly no plan for the future. Here again is a quote from their reporting. While upcoming Destiny 2 expansion Final Shape is also being prioritized, there are growing fears and rumors that layoffs will immediately follow its release.
Oh, they will. Oh, no, they will.
God. One person with knowledge of budgets at Bungie told me that
that's pretty much the norm in the game industry now. They've had to probably balloon the teams to these insane levels to just hit this mark. It's already been delayed. Yeah, guaranteed they're gonna get rid of like probably 10-15% of their staff. Hands down, it's gonna happen.
That, quote, nothing adds up, and, quote, something will need to happen to curb costs unless the Final Shape does so well to cover the gap and people can move to Marathon. So that seems screwed. And as much as, as people who follow the industry, we're talking about this, can you imagine like this being the tone and the mood at your day job, and you coming into work and this is what the news is, and your work?
Yeah, that's a lot of people's work. Like, I don't know why he's like pitching that as like, could you imagine that you have no job security? It's like, yeah.
Worried about leadership? And well, that's probably my segue to talking about the leadership. So there's only so many Ghostbusters or Mass Effect crossover packs that you can sell to people to eke out more revenue. And I gotta be real, man, those Mass Effect skins really did look good. But yes, here you go. You can call the Ghostbusters. You can do that. If you want a little optional purchase opportunity within Destiny 2.
The Ghostbuster one
so
was
that
so
was
weird.
Just revealed. I'm sure
Mass
that will
Effect
get them
made
out of their
sense.
financial hole immediately. Anyway, this is really all leading me into the most damning part of IGN's reporting. So, Bungie's leadership know that they are on notice from PlayStation. And in fairness, if you know and I know that they've been put on notice from PlayStation, I'm not really surprised that they know. But we've seen this be very clearly stated to investors by Sony. The Sony dude, he literally said that some managers need to manage their budgets better. They need to be more disciplined on how they're spending money and that kind of thing. Which, you know, it was all done in a very polite way that was trying to respect.
We did a video on that. I mean, Sony pretty much threatened Bungie of like, people need to understand how and what they're spending and how it affects the global business. And if you don't, well, then get educated or get the fuck out. That was pretty much what he said. He didn't say to get the fuck out part, but it's just a nice veiled threat of, hey, stop fucking burning money and understand that your stuff has ramifications. I feel like some of these managers most likely have just been able to spend money for so long and just squander it because there's been so much money coming in that they haven't had a real budget that they have to stay in. And that's happened a lot in the game industry, to be honest. And a lot of companies, a lot of mobile companies specifically too, have had to like hammer down their budgets because the money is not so overflowing as it used to be.
Back to the creativity of staff, but it's the sort of thing, if you're reading in between the lines, it is absolutely daggers and knives and horrible pokey things going at the management. And, well, if you're that management, are you just going to check out, take some money, and then leave and go to another ship? Now, I return to IGN's report. Within the company, there is growing expectation that senior leadership will leave in droves in the summer of 2026, when the final payouts from Sony's acquisition of the company take effect. With this in mind, there is a strong push to get Marathon out the door before then, and let whoever takes the reins after that, be it Sony or Bungie, worry about how it is sustained. I mean, this is really amazing. It seems to not really be aligned with players. It doesn't seem to be aligned with.
Okay, let's just. I don't know what he's about to say here, but what the a dev. I'm gonna say this right now. A dev should only care about making the best product they can and their own livelihood. So they're gonna do whatever in the best interest for them. I swear to God, if he says something where like, you know, they don't care about the players. No, they care to an extent. But they're not going to go stay in a fucking shit company because the players deserve better. Like that's, no. You learn, you need to care about yourself more than the company and more than anything else. You care about yourself and your family. And you do whatever is best for them.
With shareholder value, it really doesn't seem to be aligned with anything, which really doesn't sound like the best way to do things. Anyway, they've decided that the short-term sprints, post-launch layoffs, and generally short-term planning is the way to go. This is not a company with a 10-year plan. This is a company trying to work out how can we crawl our way quarter to quarter, half to half, year to year, and basically survive until we go and cash out our final big yummy payments.
Okay, so he didn't go that route. My apologies. But yeah, I mean, if you look at Bungie, yeah, there definitely is no plan. There's no plan past Marathon because Sony, their primary funder, is probably not gonna. Why would you give any company that is having this many difficulties hitting the quality bar and delivering on time and staying within budget? Why would you give a company like that more money?
Because if they are going to cash those out in 2026, all they have to do is reach that point. That is the incentive of management, right? And that's not going to be good. That is not going to be good whatsoever for the staff, because the staff, they're not going to have that incentive, are they? And that might, indeed, folks, give them an incentive to leave. Oh,
again, it goes back to what we were saying. The devs need to do what's best for them, not what's best for the company. So fuck them. Why would they care? I would, honestly, people at Bungie should just be jumping ship if they don't have the golden handcuffs that some of the management have.
oh wait, we live in hell. The games markets kind of went,
oh yeah. Yep. Now here we go.
So it's honestly really rough, and I mean, goddamn, man. Destiny players, you guys have been through a lot, and you deserve good stuff, and Destiny deserves good stuff. It's that thing, even in Destiny 1, when Destiny 1, like its lore and all of that stuff, it was a shit show. You had the Dinklebot and all those weird things. There were still the people who saw the art direction, saw the gunplay, actually enjoyed that stuff. They even they looked up the codexes that they could unlock on the Bungie website, and they actually saw really cool lore. All the lore speculation people, and well, they got veiled for the last year, so rip them. But still, the point is, just about everybody here deserves better. Maybe with the exception of Bungie's leadership. I mean, so
I would agree with that comment, that everyone deserves better. But will they get better? I don't think so. I don't think the final shape will deliver on what people are hoping for. And, you know, I think it's just going to be time to move on and find a different game. And, you know, that's kind of a free market, to be honest. That is what a free market is. I think people will, in droves, probably go to First Ascendant because it'll be the only thing out there that is kind of similar. And I think that, I hope that the First Ascendant takes that advantage that they know is coming and really delivers something sound, because what we played before was not going to cut it.
Sony probably deserve better. The players probably deserve better as well, and the staff deserve better.
The staff definitely deserve better.
Sony went and got these, you know, supposed absolute live service geniuses, and they only went and did a Beyond, no, not Beyond Light, Lightfall. The shit one. The expansion that was very weird.
I wonder if Sony just regrets this purchase. Like, do you feel like Sony probably regrets this purchase? There's like two sides to it, right? Because they own the IP. If they don't hit their quarterly, if they don't hit the financial benchmarks that they set up, Bungie fully takes over. Most likely they already own the IP itself. They can make anime, they can make really anything they want. So again, they won't lose, right? They're not going to lose, but I think the only people that are going to lose are the people that are not management, the people that are, you know, mid to junior, that don't have financial, you know, don't have golden handcuffs. They're the ones that are going to lose, because where do they go after Bungie collapses or becomes a support studio and you're not working on all the cool shiny stuff anymore?
That just came out. Anyway, that is it for today's video. We're going over this report from IGN. Of course, excellent reporting. This is tying into just thematically so much of what's going on in the industry right now. Okay, in terms of things, we have had so many absolute banger videos going on. There's really interesting stuff with Overwatch 2. You can check out that video. It's already live. And I believe tomorrow we're going to be diving into Diablo 4, because like the PC Gamer headline for like their summary was basically they've killed Diablo 4 to make it again. Yeah, it was pretty aggro. It caught my interest.
But that's it for the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoy. We record these live on Twitch. Come say hi. Make sure to follow on social media. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Destiny 2 is going to survive after the final shape, or do you think it's just going to fall off and people are just going to, you know, be angry more than they already are? But let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.